Your soulmate asked the psychic about your money. The truth they discovered was shocking. My beloved child, what your soulmate expected to hear about your money was completely different from what the psychic revealed. They walked into that conversation carrying one simple question, but the moment your financial path was mentioned, the entire mood shifted. The psychic paused, looked carefully at what was in front of them, and said there was something about your future that had been misunderstood for a very long time. Your soulmate suddenly became completely focused. They had expected an ordinary answer about stability, success, or struggle. Instead, they heard that your current situation may not represent where your story is actually heading. There was a surprising turning point connected to your abilities, your patience, and an opportunity that could change the way people see you. But that wasn't even the detail that stunned them most. The psychic noticed something else, something your soulmate had never considered about why your financial journey had moved so differently from what others expected. Don't skip, because the next detail is exactly where this mystery starts getting bigger. Your soulmate leaned closer, waiting for an explanation. Then came the sentence they couldn't stop thinking about: there is more potential around this person than people realize. Suddenly, memories started connecting in their mind. Moments when you kept going without recognition. Times when your talent seemed overlooked. Chances that appeared delayed for reasons you couldn't understand. According to what they were hearing, those moments weren't proof that you lacked potential. They were pieces of a much larger story, one involving a decision you haven't made yet and an opportunity that may arrive from a direction nobody around you expects. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate asked the obvious question: what exactly changes? The psychic didn't immediately answer. Instead, they pointed toward one particular sign connected to independence and said your strongest financial chapter would begin when you stopped measuring your possibilities by what had happened before. That answer surprised your soulmate, but then another detail appeared, and this one made them sit completely still. Because the shocking discovery wasn't simply about money. It was about what could eventually create it. The psychic suggested that one ability you may consider ordinary could become far more important than anyone currently realizes. Something you naturally understand. Something you've possibly underestimated. Your soulmate immediately started wondering what it could be, because suddenly this conversation wasn't describing random luck, it was describing a transformation built around something already inside your life. And then came the biggest mystery yet. The psychic indicated that another person could soon recognize this ability before you fully recognize its value yourself. That person could introduce an idea, opening, or direction that changes everything. Your soulmate asked who this person was, but the answer wasn't given immediately. Instead, the psychic revealed one clue about them, and the second your soulmate heard it, their expression changed. Don't skip now. Because that clue connects directly to something already happening around you, and what your soulmate discovered next made the money question seem small compared with the truth that was about to unfold. What your soulmate heard next changed the entire direction of the conversation. The psychic explained that the person connected to this unexpected opportunity wouldn't necessarily arrive looking important. There might be no dramatic introduction, no obvious sign, and no instant reason to believe they could influence your future. They could enter through an ordinary conversation, a simple connection, or an idea that initially seems too small to matter. But there was one strange clue: this person would recognize value in something you've been overlooking. Your soulmate immediately started thinking about the talents they've already noticed in you. The way you solve problems differently, the ideas you keep private, the things you can do almost effortlessly. Then the psychic said something even more surprising: your biggest financial change may not begin with receiving money at all. It may begin with finally understanding what one of your abilities is worth. Don't skip, because that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was what your soulmate asked next. They wanted to know whether this change was far away. The psychic became quiet again, as though there was one detail they weren't expecting to find. Then came an answer your soulmate couldn't ignore. The opportunity wasn't described as something belonging to some distant version of your life. It appeared connected to a chapter already beginning to form. Something may soon cause you to look differently at a skill, idea, project, or direction you once dismissed. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate suddenly realized why certain things about you had never made sense to them. You could have enormous potential and still underestimate yourself. You could be standing near an opportunity without recognizing what it could become. And the psychic suggested that this was precisely why your financial story had seemed so difficult to predict. It wasn't following the obvious path. It was building toward a moment when one decision could open several possibilities at once. But there was still one question your soulmate needed answered: what would trigger that decision? And this is where the reading became impossible for them to forget. The psychic revealed that the trigger could come after you receive unexpected recognition for something you almost didn't share, pursue, or take seriously. Think about that. Something you might consider ordinary could attract the attention of someone who sees possibilities you haven't seen yet. Your soulmate went silent because they remembered something about you, something you once mentioned casually, without realizing how significant it might become. Suddenly, the conversation about your money had turned into a conversation about your hidden potential. But there was another layer. The psychic suggested that when this opening appears, you could face two different directions, one familiar and comfortable, the other unfamiliar but filled with possibility. And according to what your soulmate heard, the choice between those two paths could become one of the defining moments of your next chapter. Don't skip. Because your soulmate then asked which path you would choose, and the clue they received revealed something about you that even they had never fully understood. The answer wasn't what your soulmate expected. The psychic didn't point toward the easiest path. Instead, they described a side of you that becomes strongest when everyone else assumes you'll stay exactly where you are. You may think carefully. You may hesitate before making a major move. But once something truly makes sense to you, you can become incredibly determined. That realization hit your soulmate differently because they had seen glimpses of it before. And then came another unexpected detail. The financial opportunity surrounding you may require you to trust an idea before other people completely understand it. Don't skip, because this is where the reading became even more mysterious. The psychic suggested that your next major breakthrough could begin quietly. No huge announcement. No obvious transformation overnight. Just one decision that initially looks ordinary, but creates a chain reaction nobody around you sees coming. Your soulmate immediately asked how they would know when that moment had arrived. The psychic gave them 3 clues without giving away the complete answer. First, an old idea could suddenly return in a new form. Second, someone may unexpectedly recognize your ability and encourage you to take it more seriously. And third, you could receive an opportunity that makes you question whether you've been thinking too small about your own potential. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate couldn't stop thinking about the second clue. Someone recognizing you. Someone seeing what others overlooked. They wondered whether that person was already somewhere around you. But before they could ask, the psychic revealed something even stranger. This opportunity might not only change your financial direction. It could change how confidently you make decisions, who you allow into your plans, and what kind of future you believe is possible for yourself. Then your soulmate finally asked the question that had been building from the beginning: what does all of this have to do with me? For the first time, the psychic's answer shifted directly toward them. They were told that their role wasn't to control your decisions or predict every move you would make. Their role was connected to recognizing something important about you at exactly the right moment. Your soulmate went completely quiet. Suddenly, they understood that this reading wasn't simply revealing a surprising money story. It was showing them why they may soon see you differently. There was something about your potential they had underestimated, and once they understood it, they couldn't unsee it. But the psychic still hadn't revealed the most surprising piece. There was one specific change connected to your future that made your soulmate ask the same question twice, just to make sure they had heard correctly. Don't skip now, because that answer is where this entire mystery takes a completely unexpected turn. Then came the revelation your soulmate wasn't prepared for. The psychic explained that the biggest change around your money wasn't simply about earning more. It was about becoming the person who finally recognizes opportunities other people walk straight past. That distinction changed everything. Your soulmate had entered the conversation expecting to hear a number, a prediction, maybe some simple answer about whether your financial future looked comfortable. Instead, they were hearing about a complete shift in direction. The psychic described a moment when something you've quietly learned, practiced, created, or understood could suddenly become useful in a much bigger way. And here's what made your soulmate freeze: they already had an idea what that something might be. A memory immediately came back to them. Something you once said casually. Something you probably didn't even consider important. But now those words sounded completely different. Don't skip, because your soulmate was about to connect that old memory with the strangest clue from the entire reading. The psychic told them that recognition would come before the bigger opportunity. In other words, someone could notice your value first, and only afterward would you understand how far that recognition could lead. Your soulmate asked whether this meant fame, a new career, a business idea, or something entirely different. But the answer remained mysterious. The form mattered less than the pattern. First comes recognition. Then comes a choice. Then comes expansion. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The psychic made another point your soulmate couldn't forget. Whatever appears next may look smaller at the beginning than what it eventually becomes. That's why it could be easy to underestimate. A conversation could become a connection. A connection could become an opening. An opening could introduce another opportunity. And suddenly, something that started quietly could begin changing the way you think about your future. Your soulmate realized this was exactly why the reading had felt so shocking from the beginning. The biggest possibility wasn't being shown as one lucky moment. It was being shown as a sequence. But then your soulmate asked one final question about that sequence: what happens after the first opportunity? The psychic paused longer than before. And what came next completely changed the expression on your soulmate's face. They were told that the first opening may only be proof of what you're capable of. The bigger chapter could begin afterward, when you realize you no longer have to keep choosing based only on what feels familiar. Your confidence could shift. Your standards could shift. Even the people whose opinions matter to you could shift. And your soulmate suddenly understood something they hadn't expected to learn when they asked about your money. Your future wasn't just about having more. It was about seeing yourself differently. Don't skip now. Because there was still one hidden detail the psychic hadn't explained. The reason this financial turning point appeared connected to a specific conversation, and why your soulmate may be much closer to that conversation than they realize. That specific conversation was the piece your soulmate couldn't stop thinking about. The psychic described it as something surprisingly ordinary at first, just a few words exchanged at exactly the right moment. But one sentence could make you realize that an idea you've been carrying has more value than you assumed. Your soulmate immediately wondered whether they would be the one to say it. Yet the psychic wouldn't confirm that. Instead, another clue appeared. Whoever starts this conversation may ask you a question about something you know how to do, create, explain, organize, or understand naturally. And your first instinct might be to treat it like nothing special. Don't skip, because that's exactly where the hidden opportunity could begin. The psychic suggested that someone else may recognize the value before you do, and once they point it out, you could start connecting pieces that have been sitting in front of you for longer than you realized. But your soulmate wanted something more specific. They asked what made this opportunity different from every other possibility that comes and goes. The answer surprised them. This one could give you something more important than an immediate result: proof. Proof that your instincts deserve more attention. Proof that an overlooked ability can become useful. Proof that your future doesn't have to resemble your past. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The psychic explained that after this first confirmation, your thinking could change quickly. Instead of asking, "Can I really do this?" you may begin asking, "How far can I take this?" And that single change in perspective could become more powerful than anyone expects. Your soulmate suddenly realized the shocking truth wasn't a prediction of instant riches. It was the possibility that you had been carrying something valuable without fully recognizing it. Then came the detail that made everything feel even more personal. The psychic suggested that your soulmate may witness the exact moment your confidence changes. Not because someone hands you an unbelievable fortune, but because something finally works after you've spent so long wondering whether it ever would. They may notice it in the way you speak. The way you make decisions. The way you stop seeking permission to take your own ideas seriously. And your soulmate could realize that the person standing in front of them is entering an entirely new chapter. But one mystery remained. The psychic had seen a second opportunity behind the first, something larger, something that only becomes visible after you make that initial move. Don't skip now, because when your soulmate asked what that second opportunity involved, the answer connected your money, your hidden ability, and one unexpected person in a way they never saw coming. The second opportunity was nothing like the first. The psychic explained that the first opening would show you what was possible, but the next one could challenge you to think on an entirely different level. Your soulmate listened closely as one unusual detail emerged. This opportunity could arrive through someone who has already noticed something impressive about the way you think, communicate, create, solve problems, or handle responsibility. You may not even realize they've been paying attention. And when they finally approach you, their words could sound almost too simple to matter. A question. An invitation. A suggestion. Maybe even a request for your help. Don't skip, because according to what your soulmate heard, your response to that ordinary moment could become far more important than the moment itself. The psychic made it clear that nothing was guaranteed, but the potential surrounding that decision was unusually strong. Your soulmate suddenly understood why the reading had started with money but kept returning to your abilities. The real discovery wasn't some mysterious amount waiting for you. It was that your future could expand when you finally recognize what you already bring to the table. And then the psychic revealed why your soulmate was so connected to this story. They may be among the first people to notice the change in you before everyone else does. Not because they're supposed to make the decision for you, but because they could recognize the moment when you stop doubting something you've quietly known about yourself. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate imagined that moment and suddenly remembered all the times you may have minimized your own strengths. Things you called ordinary. Ideas you never pursued. Compliments you brushed aside. The reading was making those memories look completely different. What if one of those overlooked pieces was connected to the opportunity the psychic kept describing? Your soulmate asked exactly that. And the answer was startling. The clue may already exist in something people repeatedly come to you for. Something they trust you to understand. Something that feels natural to you precisely because you've done it so many times. That was when your soulmate finally stopped asking about how much money you might have someday. A bigger question had replaced it. What have you been overlooking about yourself? The psychic explained that once you identify that answer, the entire pattern could become clearer. The first recognition. The unexpected conversation. The opportunity that appears small. The second opening that expands everything. Suddenly, all those separate clues fit together. But just when your soulmate thought the reading was finished, the psychic noticed one final detail that hadn't appeared clearly before. It wasn't about an amount. It wasn't about a date. It was about a choice you may soon face between keeping something private and finally allowing other people to see what you can really do. Your soulmate immediately leaned forward, because they understood the importance of that choice. Don't skip now. The next revelation explains what could happen if you finally stop hiding the very ability that may have been quietly preparing you for this entire turning point. Part 10. By the time your soulmate reached this point in the reading, the original question about money almost felt too small. The psychic had uncovered something much deeper. Your financial story could be tied to a moment when you finally stopped treating your strongest ability like an ordinary part of yourself. And now another clue appeared. The psychic described a future conversation where someone could ask you to do something you've done many times before. But this time, there may be real recognition attached to it. Your soulmate immediately understood why this mattered. You might initially think, this isn't a big deal. But the other person could see it completely differently. They could recognize skill where you see routine. They could recognize potential where you see something normal. Don't skip, because this is where the pattern becomes clear. What seemed like random delays, overlooked talents, and missed opportunities could suddenly begin connecting around one simple realization. Sometimes the thing that feels easiest to you is valuable precisely because it isn't easy for everyone else. Then the psychic revealed something that made your soulmate reconsider everything they thought they knew about your future. The biggest transformation might not happen when your circumstances change. It could happen moments earlier, when your mindset changes. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There may come a point when you stop asking whether you're ready and start asking what would happen if you genuinely tried. That shift could influence every decision afterward. One opportunity could lead to another. One person could introduce you to someone else. One successful result could give you the confidence to take your next idea seriously. Your soulmate suddenly understood that the shocking truth wasn't about a magical shortcut. It was about momentum. The psychic described your path like a door opening into another door, then another, each one becoming visible only after you walk through the previous one. And somewhere inside that sequence was a possibility your soulmate hadn't expected at all. You could eventually become known for something people currently don't associate with you. But there was still one final mystery hanging over the reading. Your soulmate asked why this particular message about your money had appeared now. Why not months earlier? Why not years later? The psychic's response was simple, but it stayed with them. Because something may be changing in the way you see your own possibilities. Maybe you've already started questioning an old direction. Maybe an idea has been returning to your mind. Maybe you're becoming less willing to settle for something that no longer fits who you're becoming. Don't skip now, because the next detail is the one your soulmate carried away from that conversation. The psychic told them to remember one thing: when the unexpected opportunity appears, it may not announce itself as the big moment. It could look ordinary enough to ignore. And that is exactly why your soulmate is now watching closely. Because they believe one small conversation could reveal whether the shocking possibility they heard about you is finally beginning to unfold. But your soulmate walked away with one question still burning in their mind: what would that ordinary-looking opportunity actually feel like when it arrived? The psychic had left them with a clue they couldn't shake. It wouldn't necessarily feel like a dramatic breakthrough. It might feel like someone suddenly taking your opinion more seriously, asking for your expertise, noticing something you've created, or inviting you into a conversation you almost overlook. And that's exactly why your soulmate became so fascinated. They realized the opportunity could appear while you're simply being yourself. No performance. No pretending. No chasing something that doesn't fit you. Don't skip, because the strangest part is what happens after that first moment of recognition. According to the reading, you may initially underestimate it. You could tell yourself it's coincidence. You could assume nothing bigger will come from it. But then another sign appears. Another conversation follows. And suddenly, what looked random starts looking like a pattern. Your soulmate asked whether that pattern would change your relationship with money immediately. The answer was more surprising than a simple yes. The psychic suggested that the first transformation could happen in the way you value your time and abilities. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. You may begin noticing where you've been giving too much energy to things that don't move you forward. You may become more selective about opportunities, more confident about what deserves your attention, more willing to learn what you don't know. And that could be the foundation beneath everything that follows. Your soulmate suddenly understood why the psychic hadn't focused on one unbelievable number. The shocking discovery was bigger than that. Your financial future wasn't being described as something that simply happens to you. It was connected to decisions, skills, recognition, and the confidence to respond when the right opening appears. But then your soulmate remembered one detail from earlier in the reading. The mysterious person who recognizes your potential before you fully recognize it yourself. So they asked one more time, "Who is this person?" This time, the psychic offered a different clue. Your connection with them may begin through something practical rather than personal. They may first notice what you can contribute, how you think, or the quality of something you do. And only later could you understand why that meeting mattered. Your soulmate went silent because suddenly several possibilities crossed their mind. Could this person already know you? Could they have already seen your work? Could one seemingly unimportant interaction already have started the chain? Don't skip now, because one mystery still remains. The psychic suggested there would be a recognizable sign when this turning point was getting closer, something so simple you might normally ignore it. And when your soulmate heard what that sign was, they immediately thought of something happening around you right now. And that sign was far more ordinary than your soulmate expected. The psychic said the turning point could begin when the same idea, skill, or opportunity starts appearing from more than one direction. Someone mentions something you've been thinking about. Then another person asks you about a similar subject. Then you notice an opening connected to it. Individually, these moments may seem meaningless. Together, they could make you stop and pay attention. Your soulmate immediately remembered how easily important possibilities can hide inside normal days. Don't skip, because this was the detail that changed their understanding of the entire reading. The psychic wasn't telling them to wait for some impossible miracle. They were describing a pattern of recognition. Small moments that could gradually reveal where your strongest potential actually lies. And once you notice that pattern, you may realize you've been receiving clues about your next direction for longer than you thought. The psychic then returned to the original question about your money and gave your soulmate the clearest answer of the entire conversation. Your future couldn't be reduced to one prediction or guaranteed number. What stood out was your capacity to create stronger possibilities when your abilities, decisions, and opportunities finally align. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate realized that was the shocking truth they'd been searching for. Your current circumstances don't automatically define your future. One new skill can change your options. One decision can change your direction. One connection can introduce an opportunity you couldn't have planned. And one moment of recognition can make you stop undervaluing something you've carried for years. Suddenly, the psychic's earlier clues made sense: the quiet conversation, the unexpected person, the overlooked ability, and the choice between staying familiar or exploring something bigger. But before your soulmate left, the psychic gave them one final thought that stayed with them more than everything else. When your opportunity arrives, nobody else can choose what you do with it. Your soulmate can encourage you. Someone can recognize you. A door can open. But you